It's so fast.
Hey, welcome everybody. It is 7:00. Time for Sci-Fi Distilled. Welcome back, Mary Beth.
Hello.
Hello. We're continuing with kind of a Star Trek theme here. We didn't really
We've had a
intend to do
Star
it.
Trek month.
It's kind of the whole month. Yeah, we didn't really intend it, but here we are. So this week
I'm
we're gonna
down with Star Trek. I love Star Trek.
yeah, why not? Right? We're gonna kind of go through the captains
Yes.
and kind of give them our rating and who we would
Yes.
follow into battle, so to speak.
And I have opinions.
Opinions. Of course, we have opinions. That's
I
the
have
whole point.
opinions on all these guys.
According to somebody on YouTube, we don't understand Star Trek. So,
Oh, really?
From I guess that covers all of our guests too.
Oh, okay.
I got a chuckle out of that one because
I wish I'd seen that one. I would have been like,
on YouTube. It's on YouTube, but I think it might be on my channel rather than the Sci-Fi Distilled channel. But
fair enough.
I got a kick out of that one. So if you're watching again, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't understand Star Trek.
Maybe we don't. Perhaps we should not volunteer where we volunteer then, because
right. So, okay. So I think now I didn't make a list of captains.
Wait, am I doing news tonight or what are we doing?
Yeah, we'll do news. I just didn't. Anyway.
Oh, I have lists. I have them ranked for stuff. I am.
All right. All right. Good. You have them listed. So, all right. Go ahead. What's the news?
News tonight. As I scroll back up to the top of the news, in real life news, I know you hate this, but I have two NASA news. NASA
news is okay. I just don't want to hear about the Gaza Strip or anything like that.
No, God, no. NASA has green-lit the Dragonfly project that is going to launch in July of 2028. And this is a car-sized drone called the Dragonfly, which is going to go to Saturn's moon, Titan. Why, you ask? Well, Titan has an atmosphere and liquid ocean. So we're going to go check that out and see what they got up there. In other NASA news, I don't know if you remember a while back, I reported, do you remember I reported on the Voyager? And I said the one Voyager is sending back gobbledygook and they don't know. And they got it fixed. They've crafted a creative solution to fix a communication problem aboard humanity's most distant spacecraft. Voyager 1 is currently about 15 billion miles away. So if it had died, I don't think NASA's AAA would have covered that. On that, and much like the Trek-Condoroga schedule, the situation is constantly evolving. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll report on that once it kind of settles down. Much to nobody's surprise, the surprise of absolutely nobody, Fallout got another season. I really liked it.
As well it should. It really turned out to be a good show.
Yeah, I really liked it.
And just the right amount of camp mixed with violence. And it's a good story. They're doing really good with the conspiracy, which is again was always an underlying kind of
plot
theme in the game, was these like conspiracies and things and you know, who started the war. They never do clearly say who started it. Now they're implying that the Vault-Tec stuff, you know, just to keep their thing going. And so it's really, I like where they're going with it. And I think the overall from the fandom is very positive. I'd say like 75-80% of the people really like it. So that's kind of amazing because usually fandoms are very divided. So to see that the majority of the fandom really likes it, they're really putting a ton of Easter eggs, and a lot of them that I didn't get because I didn't play from Fallout 1. So they really went back to a lot of stuff that was way back in a lot of the early games. And then the reveal, spoiler, put your earplugs in, the reveal at the end when we see New Vegas at that very, very, very last scene got everybody wound up. So I'm glad. I was almost positive once it was going to get a second season, but it's great that it did.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm so happy for him. And I did have to go back and kind of educate myself. Like I watched a bunch of videos on Fallout lore just so I could kind
Yeah,
of
there's tons of stuff on
be aware.
YouTube
Yeah.
and explanations of the conspiracy
And
theories.
explanations and a lot of little shorts on all the different vaults, like explaining what each
Yeah,
vault, what its deal was,
yeah.
which is
They got
fascinating.
things right in the way that like the gamers would like it. Like you wouldn't notice it, but the scene with the bear
Mhm.
when Titan goes in and he comes running out screaming,
Yep.
that's like the gameplay because that's what happens is you run into this monster that's way too big and you just start running away. So it's like so many
Running and
fans are like,
crying.
this is so accurate to the game because it's
Oh, running and crying.
fun. It's fun. Anyway, moving on.
All right, moving on. Netflix has said, all right, Witcher people, you can have season 4 and you can have season 5, and then that's it. No more. We're done. We're done with The
Well,
Witcher
without Cavill.
without Cavill. It'll be Hemsworth, Liam Hemsworth. We'll see. We'll see how it
We shall
goes.
see.
I don't think good. And finally, in the news, last piece of news tonight. You guys have all seen it. You guys have all loved it. The Deadpool Wolverine trailer dropped.
Oh yes.
I am
That
so
looks great.
excited.
Yes, that's gonna be. I might have to actually go to the theater.
Yeah, you know what? That one might be worth sitting in the
Might be
theater
worth
for.
going to the theater. I think it might have been one of the last movies I actually saw was Deadpool 2 in the theater.
Really?
No, I think it might have been Ford versus Ferrari. I think was like
Maybe.
the last
Oh,
movie.
Ford versus Ferrari. I remember that one too. Yeah.
That was really good.
There's still no clue what the plot is, but I do still think he is going to try to fix the Marvel timelines. Remember I reported about how Marvel's quietly canceling a bunch of shit. I think they really are revamping and using this movie to like change directions
And everything.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's gonna
Paramount
be
should look at
fascinating.
that and fix all their Star Trek timeline stuff.
Who,
But what do
yeah,
I
but
know?
who are we
I
gonna
don't
have?
understand.
Doctor Who come in and fix the
I don't understand
fix the
Star Trek.
timelines for us?
Michael Burnham will come in that little Red Angel thing and start
No.
zipping around in time and
No.
fix things. While
Did
she's
you guys,
crying.
speaking of Doctor Who, did you guys know there actually was a Next Generation Doctor Who crossover comic or a
Yes.
graphic novel or something?
There was.
It was.
I'm aware of that.
Yes. All right. What are we drinking tonight?
We are drinking. I was
talk
trying to
about
come
all
up with
these
something, but
characters.
so this is called Captain's Vacation. Yes, Fez. I know it should have said Captain's Holiday, aka after the episode, but I did not invent this drink, therefore I could not really change the name of said drink. So it's basically ice. I don't know why that's even on there, but of course you put ice in a drink. But pineapple juice, some kind of spice rum, either Captain Morgan or Kraken, and some lemon lime type, 7-Up Sprite type soda. So
Yeah,
yeah,
rum and Sprite, sure.
pretty good. Yeah, I imagine that's pretty good. Nice, refreshing summer drink if we ever
with
get
the
there.
pineapple juice, sure. That's a nice, refreshing drink.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. So anyway,
All right.
all right. So how do we want to do this? Do you want to chronological order?
Okay. Should I say? Yeah.
What,
do you just want to go in chronological order?
I suppose that's the most logical.
Okay.
Just want to say hey to somebody. Hey, Bill and Chris and Jeff and Dennis and
Dr. Alexander
just joined us. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Shadow is here.
All right, yeah, I guess we'll go chronological. So I guess we'd start with Pike, or should we?
Yes.
If we really want to go in the Star Trek timeline,
or should we just go Kirk and then? Because when I think of Pike, actually, I kind of think of Anson Mount. So,
well, I'm just saying if we're going chronological in aired order, or are we going chronological in actual star date?
Aired.
So that would still be Pike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Well, aired, no.
Jeffrey Hunter Pike.
No,
I don't have much on him.
It would be Shatner first because we didn't technically, they didn't air the pilot until
that's true,
or until Menagerie.
This is true.
All right, we'll start with Kirk, even though to me that's like starting at the ending, but
we're starting at the
end. Because that's what everybody's just going to say, Kirk.
Yeah, everyone's going to say Kirk for everything.
I mean, it's really hard to beat Shatner's Kirk.
He's iconic for a reason.
But the character, if we just look at the character, I mean, obviously he's almost invincible. Like he always seems to pull it out at the end. Like I've never, what I'm saying? I don't like to lose. That's his whole thing. He's very clever.
Kobayashi
and we've seen this in so many. That's what I always loved about certain episodes, like particularly like Corbomite Maneuver and Balance of Terror. It's where we see his kind of clever way of thinking to get out of a situation. he bluffed his way out. You know, he used tactics in Balance of Terror to, you know, that kind of thing. So he's not a diplomat. We know that. It's not how he operates.
Nope.
He's definitely a Zap Brannigan type of.
Very much so. As they say, shoot first, ask questions later. And for a while, when we only had Kirk and Picard, like we only had those two, and those are the only two we had to compare, the difference was so stark. They're like, oh, this one's the cowboy and this one's the diplomat, you know? So,
yeah, I mean the thing with Kirk, I think, is you're right. He is the more shoot from the hip type of thing, but he's smarter, I think, than he originally you perceive him to be. Like he's there's more intelligence there, there's more cleverness there.
yeah, supposedly he was quite the bookworm at the Academy, but I don't know that
Right.
any of those elements are really truly portrayed as much as they.
Well, no, I mean, I think anybody to get to that captaincy, you have to have you know, they always say you have to know the ship, you have to know every engineering, you have to know all this stuff, at least the basics of it, you know, before you can obviously command. So we assume that anybody that rises to that level of command has a fairly, you know, intelligent person. It's not just, you know, that was always what the JJ tracks always was so ridiculous. We had this ensign, this Buck Ensign, and basically becomes captain by the end of this thing because Pike decided to make him second in command, which no captain in the right mind would make an ensign second in command.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, Kirk's always going to be my favorite because he was my first, you know, that kind of thing. But I do like the way, I've always liked the way he's kind of been clever, and he kind of does that, pulls it out from the, you know, the rug out from under people sort of thing. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know how to put it, but, and he's obviously very bold, you know, we get the good speeches out of him.
He does. Yes, we get
the good speeches. We have the, you know, risk is our business.
Yes.
And you know, when he's reading the preamble to the Constitution, and you know, e plebnista. Anyway, that's I mean, with Kirk, I think he's the all-arounder. He's always going to, because let's face it, he's never lost.
He is the all-arounder. Yeah, he is the all-arounder.
He's never lost.
So, guys, what I'm going to do when he tosses it to me is I'm going to tell you where I ranked that captain on certain things. And then you can tell me why I'm wrong, or if you agree, or why I'm wrong, whatever. So I ranked in a fight for, exploring, in a fight, and diplomacy. So in a fight, Kirk, I put number 2. He's right up there at the top. He's not afraid to Kirk Fu his way through things.
Kirk Fu is a whole book on it.
Kirk Fu. For diplomacy, I put him lower. I put him down at 7. I feel like there are other captains who are more diplomatic.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree with that. And then just
for exploring, like being out there exploring, I actually put him at number 1 because he's our first. Like he was the one that set the standard for exploring.
Well, I mean, that was
his job. Like everyone in Starfleet explores.
Primary function.
Yeah.
Its primary function is exploration, not battle.
Yeah.
So
would I serve under Kirk? Absolutely. I'd probably get killed, but I absolutely would.
Just don't wear red. Just don't wear red without any stripes. If you have stripes on, you're okay. You're at least a lieutenant. You're okay.
Yeah. Everyone's saying that Kirk set the standard, and all the captains are compared to Kirk. Bill's even saying he even beat Spock at chess.
He did.
Spock let him win. I don't know.
Yep. That was right from I think that was in the original, the second pilot, where you say irritation. You know, you're irritated, Spock. You know, because Spock is so logical, and Kirk is again using that gut feeling, coming at it from an illogical viewpoint, and that's why he beats Spock, because Spock can't think illogically.
Yeah,
you know, making the desperate move until we saw Galileo 7.
Yeah, and Kirk
chose it was time to make it.
Kirk could think outside the box in a crisis. You know, he was creative at crises, right. Whatever the word is.
Right.
All right. Is that enough?
Moving up through the CBS timeline, the next, of course, would be Jean-Luc Picard. Now, of course,
Yes.
this is a lot of people's favorites, and we have to give him a lot of credit. He is certainly the diplomat.
Yes.
He certainly has skills in battle, but I don't think that's his strong area by any means. I think he is competent, but not exceptional.
Yes.
But I think diplomacy is his thing. The one thing that always bugged me about TNG is they always did the right thing.
Of course.
Like it was always that goody. I call it the goody two shoes trek because they always did the right thing.
But I loved it for that.
It was always like, oh, but they were always given options where they could do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or they would figure out, you know what I'm saying? Whereas when we get up to DS9, that doesn't play out anymore. You know
yes, and we'll get there. We'll get to Sisko. Yeah.
So Picard is a great captain, and certainly who would not want to serve under him.
Absolutely would, yes.
And he doesn't tend to get people as killed. One of the things I think his strength was I think he listened to his crew out of all the captains, probably the most as far as if they had, except Wesley Crusher. Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, I hear he was much more erudite. Despite Kirk also being a scholar, I would call Picard more erudite. But yes, you're absolutely right. He definitely fostered a collaborative effort, and not that informal collaborative effort that you don't like with Pike and Burnham, but a formal, but everyone can put their, give their 2
they
cents.
Felt that they could, right.
Decision,
that he was open to that, not necessarily criticism, but opinions.
Yeah.
And he actually would seek it out. Of course, they were always in the briefing room.
Well, his ready.
They called it his ready room. No, it wasn't even. They did have a briefing room, and it was a briefing room, I guess, on the D bridge where they had the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd all sit around. So it was like their version of the briefing room. Yeah. So a lot of times they would go in there and kind of, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So
where did I rank him in fighting? Way the heck down at number 8. He's not one to throw a punch.
No, he's not a physical person.
But for diplomacy, I put him right up there at number 1. I put him right at the top.
There's no question that he's the number 1 with diplomacy.
And then for his exploration skills, is he out there exploring? I kind of put him middle of the pack at number 4. That next gen, that's what their job was. Go explore. I mean, every single one of these guys, their job is go explore. So this is kind of
not
this
Sisko.
Is a dumb measuring tool, but
Sisko's wasn't. He kind of did it by accident, so to speak. But
would I serve under Picard in a hot second? I would absolutely love to. Was he creative in a crisis? I don't know that he was creative, but like we just talked about, he did seek opinions and information from his staff to make an informed decision. So
yeah.
Wait, Bill is reminding me that Picard did fight off Klingons. Yeah, he also got stabbed in the heart that one time. So I mean, none of them are above throwing a punch. They've all thrown a punch.
They all do get into fisticuffs.
When the script calls for it, they'll throw that right hook.
But I think Picard is probably the least, and he's also probably the oldest of the captains.
Freeman is pretty old too. But yeah, he's probably the oldest of the captains. Yeah.
So
at the time,
we're
on the episodes or now?
I didn't know she counted because she's on a California class, And
I threw her in there because I just thought, you know what? Because I was waffling. I was waffling between Freeman and Georgiou, and I thought to myself, I only saw Georgiou for a couple episodes, but I've got seasons of Freeman.
That's true.
So I was like, all right, I'm going with Freeman. All right, moving on. Moving
on. So now we're up to DS9. Of course, originally Commander Sisko, ultimately Captain Sisko.
Yes.
This is I love Sisko. He is my second favorite captain of all. I loved him because I felt the character was the most realistic person in Star Trek universe as far as the officers go. And I think he was also faced with the most realistic decisions, particularly with war, because there are just no good answers. There's none of that. We're going to have that smiling, laughing bridge shot at the end of the episode because everything turned out well. And as we know, it didn't turn out well is because thousands of people were killed during that war. And it just showed you the full roundedness of that person. But he also is a good diplomat. I put him
Yes.
definitely above Kirk on the diplomat scale.
Yes.
And he is
Did
very
out
clever,
there.
of course, also with battle, as he had to be, because he
He
was
had to be.
basically in charge of the entire fleet at that point that's going into the Gamma Quadrant.
I
So,
absolutely agree with you. He was the most realistic human. And in the Pale Moonlight, where he said, "I can live with that. Computer, delete that." You know,
yeah.
well, not my computer. Yeah. And the other thing I love about Cisco, I love it, is every time Jaco, and he hugs and kisses his son. Oh my God, do I love that? We need more of that.
Yeah, he wasn't
You
afraid
stop.
to nurture his son. He also, I love the fact he kind of had a bit of a Shaw moment in really the first episode with Picard, because he was again at Wolf 351
Oh
and his
yeah.
wife died there, and he held a huge grudge. So we
Yes.
kind of saw shadows of what we're going to see eventually with Shaw.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are
And
probably
rightly so.
not
There's a
happy
lot.
with
Yes.
Jean-Luc Picard and felt that he probably shouldn't be commanding a ship, regardless of whether, of course, it wasn't his doing. He didn't do it on purpose, but one always has to wonder, are they compromised?
Yes.
And I think that's where they were coming from.
Which goes a little way to explain Picard season 1, but that's good. We don't need to go there. Yeah, but Cisco, I love Cisco. Honestly, I waffle between him and Picard as my number one. But in a fight, Cisco will throw a punch. Do you remember him punching out Q?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Cisco is willing to get physical. So I put him right in the top, not the number one, but up in the top third in a fight. Diplomatically, I put him at number 3. And maybe he could have been number 2. So at top third. And then out exploring, I put him at number 6, which is right in the middle. To be fair, we don't get to see him do that because the space station is anchored, but they did have the Defiant and they ran around. But I think Cisco had the explorer's soul. Like, he wasn't closed-minded, and he was interested in learning about.
There was the episode where him and Jake build the sail ship that's right. There was a theory about how ancient Bajorans got to, and then they built the sail ship. That was very explorer like. But you're right. As far as pure exploration, no, because of the command that he had.
Yeah.
It just wasn't kind of that, because they would all come to him rather than so much them going out. But They did do quite a bit of exploring in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yes.
Before the war started. So from that aspect, but yeah, I think his strength is just his command strength and his strength to get through the crisis.
Would I serve under him? Absolutely. Was he creative in a crisis? He took after Picard in the same way that I think he did seek information from Dax and Kira and whoever else was around. He did leave people to their strengths and let people handle, he didn't micromanage anybody. So,
yeah. And, he really trusted people like Odo and stuff almost right out of the gate. You know what I'm saying? He came into this command and he said, okay, these are the people that are in charge and, the station, and, I'm not going to micromanage you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And of course he had to, because the Bajorans technically was a Bajoran station. Being managed by.
It was Tarek Noor, and then once they
it was originally built by the Cardassians, but at that time when the series starts, Bajor is in control of that station.
Yes.
So anyway, all right, moving on. We're up to Voyager, which is Captain Janeway.
Our audience is chatty tonight. I wish I could read all these out loud. Keep going, guys. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, Cisco shook Kirk's hand. That's right. He did, Bill.
He did.
That's right.
He made a point.
If you want to write me up for that, go right ahead.
Yeah. Here's the duty roster for tomorrow, and may I say it's been an honor to serve with you.
Because, the funny thing is, the writers were like, everybody would have done that.
The funny thing is if you look at Kirk's side of that conversation, it's from Marlena Monroe. It's from Mirror Mirror, and he's talking to Barbara Luna.
Yeah.
And so you kind of remember that, and it doesn't read the same, but that's okay.
It worked well though, because I didn't necessarily pick that up at the first pass.
Oh, I did.
Because he's had a few where he's been handed the signing the thing and
that's true.
It back. So it could have been. I'm not sure. Are you sure it was from that scene?
I think so, because he's like, and your name is, and she's like, Marl, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Marlena, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
True. All right. Well, anyway. All right. So
Back
Janeway.
to Janeway.
Well, she obviously has an explorer spirit since
She had no choice.
She had no
Come
choice.
on. She had no choice.
She had no choice. I don't know. You know, I have to be honest, I've never really been a fan of her as a captain. I have no problem with the actress. Maybe it was written badly. I had a lot of problems with her choices early on. The whole premise of the show, I thought was, we've had this discussion. I felt from the very, very first episode when she had the option of should we blow the station up or not blow the station up, but the people on the planet are going to die, but we could get home. I mean, I know it's the Starfleet thing and they try to, but again, it just bothers me because I always feel that your crew and your ship come first. That's your first primary responsibility. And you were in a place that you had no support mechanism. You were the intruder there. You are not in your space. Get your ass home and let the locals, it's not interference. Don't interfere.
Yeah, it should have been non-interference. Yeah, that's a really great point. The writers put her in a very tough. Well, first of all, stranding them was tough, so she had to manage that. But then they wanted to have this whole Maquis tensions, undercurrent that kind of got pushed aside. Like they kind of abandoned it, and then they made her. She's not perfect. She really isn't perfect. She did make some really not interesting.
That was her first biggest mistake.
She made some decisions.
She made some decisions, and it's funny because we're going to bring the Starfleet, and Federation ideals, we just because we're out here we don't abandon them, and okay, that's fine, but the same time it's like you're basically now bringing your ideals to other people.
Yeah,
necessarily don't want it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. She did the best she could. If she was a real person, I
understand the whole point of the show was they had to stay because otherwise that was the show.
Yeah, probably.
And I never liked the premise of the show. Even before I saw the show, I always thought it was a bad idea because, as we have said, it was going to be Gilligan's Island in space. Because they were just you were going to have a number of episodes where they were almost going to get home, and then Gilligan trips over the warp core. Yeah. That was me, by the way. Dave stole that from me.
The Gilligan of the
That was been my joke for 30 years.
So in a fight, I kind of put her in the middle. She did throw down a couple times.
Well, I mean, we saw that in she kind of did the Sarah Connor thing from Terminator 2.
She did the Sarah Connor in Macrocosms, or what
in
was
the Year of Living Hell.
Year of Living Hell, or Year Hell 1 and 2.
Year in Hell, or whatever it was, something like that. Yeah, Year in Hell.
And there's another episode called Macrocosms or something where she did the Sarah Connor thing, running around shooting up, with the
I mean, she has the ability. She has the nose. She's clearly intelligent enough.
Yeah. So I did put her at the middle of the pack for fighting. I put her number two for diplomat because she did have to talk her way out of some shit as they wend their way home. And one of them was that episode where the aliens were experimenting on them when they were sleeping, and so she had to mess with them to get them to leave and quit. She had to talk her way out of stuff sometimes. She was reasonably diplomatic, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think she was kind of not great at any one thing.
No, she was not great at any one thing.
I think she was just competent overall. I don't want to say that she was bad.
Yeah, she is me. Out exploring, I put her at number 2 behind Kirk, but she had no choice. She had to go explore. She was lost. Yeah,
she didn't really. Is it exploring if you're just trying to find your way home because you haven't been, when you get plunked somewhere you've never been before?
Like you said, it was like one of the first or second episodes.
Is that really exploring, or is that just trying to get home?
She's like, no, let's take the scenic route. Let's go the scenic route.
Yeah.
Would I serve under her?
No. I don't think I would not want to.
Was she creative in a
crisis?
I
don't think she had crew. She doesn't have crew. I don't think she has, look at poor Harry Kim was a lieutenant or an ensign for 7 years. He was
Yeah,
an
you're
ensign
right.
for
I
7
feel like
years.
she didn't.
Meanwhile, Tom Paris goes up and down.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah.
You know,
That crew did not gel. She did not have their respect, and that crew did not gel until like the end of that series. Like it did not come together until after Seven Arc.
it's the series in general just had a lot of issues, and
Yeah,
she bargained with the Borg. There's something. But by that time, the Borg had become neutered.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like once we got to the Hugh episode in TNG, and then and then Lore was screwing around with the Borg. Remember, Lore had his own little clan of Borg.
yes,
That kind of from then on, the Borg to me were fairly neutered. You know, they just
yeah. They weren't.
they weren't as big a threat as they were initially.
Yeah. Bruce is here. Yeah, Bruce. She would make a U-turn for coffee, so that might not be wise. I don't know.
Well, that's I don't just because somebody likes coffee.
But you don't make a
drank
U-turn
coffee.
for it.
Kirk drank coffee all the time.
All right. That's enough on Janeway. Let's move on to more interesting.
So moving on, next we're up to would be Jonathan Archer.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's kind of a hard one to pigeonhole.
I agree. I was trying to characterize him. And I was like,
well, the thing is, he's so early on in Federation timeline. It's like, okay, diplomacy. The arc he got better. He didn't start very good. He hated Vulcans, so he had a chip there. He had a legitimate gripe with the Vulcans. But there's a whole arc where he ends up holding a Sirach's Katra in his brain for an episode or two. So, there's an arc there with him and the Vulcans clearly, but his whole thing was exploring. That's what they were going to do. They got thrown into these other wars on their own. A few things I liked about him is when we got to the season 3, the Xindi arc, there was a few episodes where he was like literally willing to throw somebody out an airlock to get information out of them. Like he was ready to go into the dark side. And there was a very dark episode where he like left that crew where he stole their parts to keep his ship running.
I would argue he was darker than Sisko. Sisko had to make hard
he was definitely there's definitely darker moments in Sisko with that.
Yeah. Sisko had to make hard decisions or amoral decisions, but Archer straight went to the dark side.
Yeah, and Chris, I don't know, Chris makes a really good point. If I can get my mouse down there. Where he's saying that all the rules were not in place. Basically, they did not have the Prime Directive, which is what a lot of what T'Pol would keep saying that the Vulcans kind of did. It's like we don't interfere with other cultures. We don't do this. We don't do that because we basically learned that there was a bad idea. Things don't always work out that well. So, it's hard to quantify him with the others because of he's not in the established. There's no federation at this point either. There's not even any kind of coalition there's nothing. There's just Starfleet.
Hi, Fez.
And an Earth alliance, so to speak. In other words, Earth is under one government. Yeah. I mean, I give Archer credit for being the explorer of the initial. He was the first to really go out. Yeah, we had boomers out there doing cargo runs locally, but he was the first one to really go beyond where no man had gone before.
These are all fantastic points, and it makes me wonder about Scott Bakula as an actor because I feel like Archer didn't. Yeah, because it was so new. I wonder if Scott made the choices because I feel like Archer never coalesced as that central unit the way Kirk and Picard did, but maybe he literally couldn't, and Bakula knew that because of how early it was in the Federation's history. So Bakula was probably mentally playing it like, I can't be a Kirk and I can't be a Picard. I have to be this new thing. That's
that's a good point. And like a lot of guys, he wasn't doing it because you're right. By the 4th season, he was on a full road to getting the Federation formed. That's where the series was going, was the birth of the Federation. So that's where, and he certainly was, of course, his whole relationship with Shram and the Vulcans.
I love
and
Shram.
The whole Shram's, he's the best. We need more Shram in anything because he was the best character on Enterprise by far. Pink skins. Jeffrey Combs, gotta love him. He's great in everything he does. So Shram would follow him as captain because you'd be shooting at everything.
But
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, you know, it's hard to, like I said, I find it hard to quantify Archer.
yeah,
Uh,
agree.
but I think he ranks higher. He's almost like over here. Here's like all our main 90s, and of course Kirk,
Hi,
you know,
Stuart.
Kirk, Cisco, Picard, Janeway. And then there's kind of Archer's kind of like over here because he can't fit in because he didn't have all the rules and everything that
Yeah, exactly. He
were
is kind of
set.
in a class. He's in his own category,
He's
isn't
kind of in
he?
his own category. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he was kind of an all-arounder.
Yeah, and it's just
Um,
interesting, just because Bakula had carried shows before. Bakula had been the star and had carried shows before, but he doesn't carry Enterprise the way he carries other shows. And I really wondered about that. I'll
no,
tell you,
you know, and I
my,
think his acting. So I think he's a good actor, but I think his acting suffers when he has to be super emotional. I don't think it carries to me very well, and I think that translated to the audience that it just wasn't coming across as very
that's possible.
natural. But
Overarching.
overarching, yeah.
So
So anyway, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you know me, I'm a big fan of Enterprise. I love Enterprise.
Yes.
It's my second favorite Star Trek. So I think because I really wanted to see, I would have loved to have seen where it would have gone, but at least we have novels for that.
Yeah, we do. So for In a Fight, I put him number 6, right in the middle of the pack. I think he'd throw a punch if he needed to. Diplomatically, why didn't I put him at 9? I should have put him up in the middle of the pack.
He's got to be higher because, yeah, I think he actually gets a lot more. And you're right, Bill. He likes dogs, so that really there shoots him pretty high up the bar.
That's true. That is true. And then on Out Exploring, I put him way up at number 3 behind Kirk and Janeway because he was he was the first.
I would put him above Janeway because Janeway only had to do it because of necessity, not by choice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I can put him at number 2. And then would I serve under him? Absolutely, I'd serve under him. Was he creative in a crisis? Yeah, he was reasonably creative in a crisis. So.
Again, he would listen to his staff.
Yeah.
He was very good about that. Even to Paul, who initially he didn't like having her on board because he didn't like Vulcans. He felt she was a chaperone, but he even did listen to her eventually for information. So anyway, all right. So next on the list would be Lorca, I guess, right?
I think Lorca. I have Lorca, but then I have Pike. Why do I have Pike next?
It depends on where we're doing this timeline wise. Pike would.
We could do Lorca, then Burnham, then Pike, or we could do Lorca, Pike, whatever.
It doesn't really matter at this point. We'll do Lorca. Lorca kind of is hard to quantify again because he technically was a mirror universe.
He was America, yeah.
I actually liked the character in
Me too. I was loving him. I was loving him all
season. In fact, a lot of people did, and I think a lot of people were so pissed that he died. Of course, it was always CBS's plan to eventually make Burnham captain.
Yes.
They sold it to us that, oh no, the captain's not going to be the focus. If you remember way back in 2018, whenever they started this, they said, oh, well, you know, it's going to be the second officer, second in command is going to be the one that's really the focus of the show and not the captain. But is that
and they
really
shot us on for 2 seasons, giving us Lorca and Pike, but then
they gave us Lorca for 1 because he was dead by the end of the first season.
Yeah.
But we kind of liked him. I liked him as a captain. I thought he was a pretty good, there was strong.
Yeah. There was a scene about the tardigrade, no, the space whale. Can't remember what it's called. And he's like, okay, so go do it. Like I liked that about him. He let his staff do their thing and it didn't, micromanage them or interfere.
Yeah. I remember you were there in 2018 at Star Trek Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah.
And he was there, the actor
Jason Isaacs.
And everybody kept asking him, are you going to come back? Are you going to come back? Because everybody wanted Lorca to come back. And he was like, I fell through a thing. I got shot. I got
stabbed to the heart.
Incinerated. I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back. And we're like, okay, you signed an NDA. We get it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah. It's like, but we kept saying
we wanted him back.
But the Prime Universe Lorca is still
out there
somewhere. We never did find out what happened to him.
Yeah, thank you, Stewie. It was the Gormagander was the space whale. Yeah, there was a scene and he just let the team do what they needed to do. And he's like, all right, so go do it. I actually really liked that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Where
yeah.
did I rank him? In a fight, I put Lorca in the middle of the pack. I think he'd throw punches. See, because he's from the mirror, so he's probably used to throwing punches.
Oh yeah, he's definitely used to throwing a punch.
Diplomacy, I put him down low. I don't think the mirror universe people know how to be a diplomat.
No.
I put him
Very
number
low.
like
Very
8
low on the
or 17.
diplomacy scale.
And then where did I put him on out exploring? I put him dead last for out exploring because I don't think
They
the
didn't
mirror
do
people
any. They were
care
just like a
about.
test ship for the silly spore drive thing.
Yeah.
They
I
really
don't think
weren't.
mirror
I mean, I
people care
guess.
about exploring.
Yeah, and then the
Would I
war hit.
serve under him? Maybe Prime Lorca. I might. Was he creative in a crisis? Not. He relied on his team, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so the next one, technically, we're still in Discovery because we have like several captains within Discovery, right? Because we got to.
Let's take Pike's whole body of work. Let's take Pike from Disco and Strange New Worlds.
Well, you're going to talk about Saru because he was captain for a while.
You know what? I did not put Saru on my list.
He was captain of Discovery for a while.
Captain. Would I serve under him? Absolutely. He is cool.
But I guess Pike was before him, right? Technically.
I think
I don't even know. I don't remember where it came in.
I think Pike was.
We can do whichever one. The thing with Saru was, I think he was a weak captain overall. He just, I think his heart was in the right place, and I think he probably had the intelligence level, but I don't think he had the right.
Yeah, I think if it was a crisis, Saru
I don't think he had the right. Yeah, I think he's right. He hesitates, and that whole thing, his whole race is based on being afraid.
Yeah, and they drove that home in the first season. Like they drove it home.
Yeah. So, I just we don't have to go too much in Saru. He just wasn't a great captain overall, and no, I wouldn't want to serve.
I like his demeanor. I like that he's cool and calm, and
I think he's better as a second officer, even a third. As a second
he's
or
a great first officer. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
So
we can talk about
Pike.
So we want to talk about Jeffrey Hunter Pike, or we want to talk about?
I'm thinking about Handsome Mount.
We don't really see enough Jeffrey Hunter Pike to really have an opinion, I guess.
It's only one episode, so I don't know. We can't base too much.
So we'll talk about the Anson Mount Pike. We all loved him in season 2 of Discovery, which is why we have Strange New Worlds. And I think, again, he was so much more commanding in that series than he is on Strange New Worlds. So it's kind of like he's more milquetoasty.
He's regressed.
It's like, I don't know why they like dumbed him down in a way. They like in because he was much better, much more in command, and somebody you could clearly go, I'll get behind this guy.
Yeah, we've made the observation on this show before that this past season of Strange New Worlds, Anson Mount spent a lot of time in the back of the scene making faces instead of actually acting in the scene, which is odd to me, incredibly odd. I know his baby was born. I know his first daughter was born. I know, but they should have used him more wisely, I think.
George, the USS Glenn was his test ship. Yeah, it was one of the other ones. They both were testing.
The Glenn was the other test ship.
They both were. Just the Glenn things went badly.
They went very badly.
Anyway, I mean, I liked season 2 Discovery Pike more than I like Strange New Worlds Pike, even though it's the same guy, but
I agree with you.
I think he's very intelligent as a captain. I think he has that, and I think the fact that he does listen to his crew maybe a little too much.
Yeah, you know what it is though? He's working through some personal stuff. I don't like that.
He saw his own death.
You're in command now. You're responsible for other lives. I don't want to hear about your girlfriend.
Yeah, that's true. Again, that's kind of more of the show is trying to lean towards more of a social aspect and not just a straight.
I love lives of captains.
Yeah, I mean, backstory, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
we know Stuart. We know about Strange New Worlds Pike. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's just not put. So where did I rank him in a fight? Oh, I put him back end of the pack. I don't know that Pike throws down. Diplomatically, I did put him up. He will talk. He was very diplomatic in a number of episodes, and that's good. Out exploring, Pike's right in the middle of the pack. Yeah, he's doing the job that Starfleet has given him to do. Would I serve under him? I think I'd be okay on that ship. Was he creative in a crisis? Not necessarily, but he does listen to his team. So
Yes, Bruce, the Balance of Terror episode at the end of
that was
season
quite
1
good. It was
was
quite
an
good.
excellent episode. The only thing I really didn't like was the whole giant Romulan fleet hiding in cloaked behind the neutral zone, so to speak, ready to attack. And that I thought was a little over the top silly. I think the initial story from the original series was that there was the lone ship just to test, and if it came back and reported, great. If it didn't come back, then we know we are still not up to speed.
Yeah, like the sacrificial canary kind of
We
thing.
didn't need to have a whole fleet waiting outside just whether that was going to be the test. I think that was kind of silly, but beyond that, I did like that story, and it's proving to him that he can't change time because it screws everything else up. So
yeah. Oh yeah, and you guys know, because I've said on the show before that one of my I have two favorite moments in Star Trek, and Anson Mount delivered one of them, and it's the service, sacrifice, compassion, love scene. Stewart's arguing he's maybe too much of a pretty boy to be a fighter. There's a reason why we call him Handsome Mount. Yeah. I don't know.
He's got probably the best hair. Because Shatner's wasn't real.
The tallest hair. I kind of want to see Pike be a little more commanding in future seasons.
All right. So what are we up to next?
What do I have on my list next? I then went to Burnham.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well,
I know.
Not a fan.
You're not. She's growing on me. You know, Rizzo,
my issues with her are the fact that she was a mutineer. She should never, ever, ever have been a captain again. They wanted to bring her back because she had some special knowledge on XYZ thing. Fine, you bring her back, but then you go, and even if they wanted to use that to exonerate her or to let her out of jail, that's another thing. But to bring her back as an officer and then ultimately captain, was just kind of way beyond the pale of stupidity to me. But and I think her emotions are, as we see, are just too involved in what she's doing.
Yeah, and I did just criticize that in Pike, didn't I?
You have to separate your emotions from what you're doing. You can't let that drive you.
Yeah. Stewart just said Burnham has become a much better character. And Stewart, I absolutely agree. And you know, it wasn't until this past episode of Disco that it was highlighted for me when spoiler, current Burnham, season 5 Burnham meets season 1 Burnham. And the stark difference. The stark difference between the two girls. So there has been evolution in that character.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will give the writers credit for that.
I still don't like the whole point that, like I said, and I just feel that I don't know. I obviously am very biased because I don't like the show. So I can't really deal with this honestly. I have to. If you like the show, it's fine. I'm not dissonant if you don't, telling you shouldn't watch it or anything. I just particularly, it's not my cup of tea. Because I just feel that there's too much talking about feelings going on in the middle of, and it's too many MacGuffins.
Yeah. The ship's gonna blow up.
Another MacGuffin we have to go after.
There's a lot of angst. I love that. I love that's progressive, but there's a lot of angst, a lot of emotional angst that I feel like we should just be sciencing the shit out of things instead.
Yeah, just stick with what the show does well and stop trying to make such a social statement about it. Everything. Yeah.
So where did I put Burnham for in a fight? Yeah, she throws down, but I kind of put her in the back half of the pack. Diplomatically, I put her in the back half of the pack. I don't know how I reasoned that out. Out exploring, back end of the pack. I didn't really rate her high in most anything. Would I serve under her? Is she creative for crisis? Yeah, I don't know, man. She's just maybe not the strongest of all the 10 captains we're looking at tonight.
Yeah. No,
11 captains, however many.
I agree.
Yeah, Bruce, good point. Raised by Vulcans, and she's the most emotional character.
Which, it's funny. When you saw those flashbacks, she was very more Vulcan-like, and then somehow she became less Vulcan-like.
She became less Vulcan.
I don't know if that was Giorgio's influence. Again, I know she was technically on the list as Captain Giorgio, but we only saw her for really one episode, right? 2, and then she was dead.
Yeah, that's true. How would I rate Captain Foley in a fight? Stuart, I've never seen you throw fists. Diplomatically, you're probably pretty high. Out exploring? Yeah, I feel like you'd go explore. Would I serve under you? Sure,
No.
why not? Are you creative in a crisis? I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
Stuart. All right, the last two captains I have on my list are Freeman from the Cerritos and Shaw from Picard
Okay, yeah.
season 3.
So we'll do Freeman first.
Freeman.
I don't know if she kind of fits into the class of, at least certainly not our other top captains.
No, she's second contact, man.
She's not a California class,
She's
which
the
is
cleanup crew.
The joke has been that it's kind of the second team, the B team. So yeah, the second contact.
Yeah, she's working with the B team, so she's
the one that gets them set up with the Federation.
She's literally the meme. It's hard to fly with eagles when you work with turkeys. Like she's literally that.
So, and she does make some really poor decisions. Honestly, she's very arrogant.
She kind of does. She got herself arrested at one point.
Looks down on some of her lower decks people.
She's constantly fighting with her daughter.
Yeah, constantly fighting with her daughter.
If there's gonna be mother-daughter on a ship, be professional. Both of you, be professional.
Yeah, it's hard to put this one because the whole show is just so silly and ridiculous.
But we laugh. Yeah, it's so silly, and you laugh at it, and you want to laugh at it.
Yeah, so it's like it's hard to give the character any kind of real, standing with the other one. I put her on the other side. Archer's over here, out here. She's kind of out here, just.
Yeah,
she's comic relief. Let's put it that way.
She is comic relief. Where did I put her in a fight like dead last? I don't think Carol Freeman throws fists.
No, I don't think
I put her in the middle of the pack because she doesn't have to be diplomatic. First contact has already been made. She's the second contact group.
Right. They're the people that do the cargo runs and
exactly. And then out exploring, I put her dead last because again, she's second contact. There's no exploring. She's already, she's going.
They're the work. Again, the California class has kind of been said they're like the workworkhorse,
like type. Mariner. They roll up their sleeves.
They just go and they do the cargo runs and they shuffle people around. They do the second, they do the fill in. Like I said, they go and give the planet their access code to the Federation website. That kind of thing.
Would I serve under Carol Freeman? I wouldn't want to, but I'm sure I'd do fine. And then is she creative in a crisis? She really shouldn't be getting in as many crises as she's getting into.
Right. That's kind of the point of this.
Yeah, I guess it's very creative, that show. I love that show. Oh God.
Of course. Yes. No, we don't.
Save, guys, go sign the petition. Save.
Yes, we want more lower decks. Save lower decks.
So finally tonight, our new favorite, Todd Stashwick
as Captain
what was
Shaw.
His first name? What's Shaw's first name? Do we know?
Liam?
We don't know.
Is it Liam?
Is it Liam?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. It's Captain Shaw.
Somebody out here. Somebody must know in the chat what his first name is.
What is
anyway?
What is his ship? Now I can't remember his ship. Oh, it's hard getting old. The memory is the first thing to go.
It was the Titan, which will eventually
Thank you, the Titan.
Which will eventually,
Liam.
yes, it was
Stuart
Liam. Thank you, Stuart. I was right. It was Liam. Which Titan, which became the Enterprise, which was again a mistake in my opinion. You don't need to rename ships. Bad juju.
I agree. So
anyway,
Liam, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I mean Shaw was an interesting character because initially I didn't like him at first. The first kind of time you met him, because again we had another character in this Picard series crapping on Riker and Picard, like just being kind of rude to him and not treating them with any respect.
But
when you get to he grew on me very quickly because you're like, you know what? He's right. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. We're not going to go do this crazy thing, because it is the reality of what would be more realistic is like, we're not going to go and fly off the handle and go do against, Starfleet orders and just do whatever and the No, of course, was the best, which he's known for now, is, of course.
I remember you and I talking about the No episode the next morning, like the very next morning. And we were both like, he was right. He was completely right. He was right.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get the Quint speech out of him.
And then we get the Quint speech out of him.
Which is so ironic because he's Captain Shaw, which...
it was deliberate. It's not ironic. Totally it was quite deliberate. It was a choice.
Yeah. So, yeah, that speech was epic. And he was right again.
Yes.
in that speech, like basically putting Picard in his place, saying,
Yes.
this was what I had to deal with. So, yeah, I would totally serve under him because
And,
he
and
obviously he has, not only does he follow orders, but I think he's also going to say, I'm not going to put my crew into that.
yeah.
You got to be kidding.
He
This
was
is a very
probably a hard ass to serve under, but
well, yeah, he was really hard again. And now we had, 7 of 9 there, as a second officer, which again, I kind of find it cracks me up. She was like a vigilante.
Yeah.
And now
she's
a commander.
The Ferris.
Now, I'm sure they gave her credit for all the years on Voyager, blah, 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 before everybody starts jumping on why. But I still say it's kind of cracking me up that she's a commander and second and right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Again, that's what the writers want.
That's her arc. Starfleet will promote it.
I like her character. You know what I'm saying? And then her ultimately becoming captain. Of course, we don't know what her captaincy is like. True. Maybe if we get Legacy, who knows?
Maybe if we get Legacy, we'll see. Where did I rank Liam Shaw for throwing fists? I feel like a dipshit from Chicago absolutely would throw fists. So I put him at number 3. Diplomatically, I kind of put him down in the back end of the pack. I don't see him.
No, I don't. I see him as a very competent commander.
Yeah.
I don't see him. He'll follow orders. He's not, but he's not going to go. I don't see him pulling a Corbomite maneuver type thing. I don't see him, negotiating, like you say, a peace treaty or something, or talking his way out.
Exactly.
I think he's just a solid, competent captain in the fleet.
And then for out exploring, I put him in the back of the pack, but he would do his job. Like if the Starfleet job is go forth and explore, he'd do it, So would I serve under him in a heartbeat?
By this point in Starfleet history, that the exploration part has kind of gone by the wayside. And it's more like just keeping the Federation together.
Yeah, let's see.
It's like more like we're just trying to keep things running here at this point, let alone. Which is what always bugged me about Picard, because I think they deviated so far from Star Trek, what had been established, in the sense that this is the Federation and this is what we stand for, and and then we get to Picard and everything's gone like you're in the Mirror Universe or something.
Yeah,
it's like, no, that's not what Starfleet stands for or Federation. So anyway, I would follow Shaw. I'd
serve under Shaw.
Captaining him.
Yeah.
He also has good taste in drinks, so
yeah,
he has good.
He does.
By the way, those of you don't know,
where is it?
Ashwick has a cocktail book that he wrote with other people on his site, which is called Nerd Circus.
Nerd Circus, yes.
So if you want to check that out, I have a signed copy.
Yeah, Bruce is saying he wouldn't get himself into most situations, so he wouldn't have to be either diplomatic or throw fists.
That's true. Yeah, he would always. I think he would take the safe route. Right, exactly. If he saw trouble, he'd be like, "Turn tail, we're out of here."
Yeah, let's us. Take care of my crew first. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
and just a side note, of those of you who are watching Disco, we have a new hard ass, a captain who's been in trouble and has now been demoted. So I don't know if they created this character because they saw people like Shaw, or if he was already in the works when Shaw came along. But it's been an interesting season 5 has been an interesting ride so far. So I don't know. Okay, guys, I think that's my whole list. Was there anybody else?
We've gone through the whole list.
What do you guys
obviously disagree with us? We don't know what we're talking about anyway.
Do you agree? Do you disagree?
But I think we all agree. At least, well, I shouldn't say. I'm saying I still think Kirk's going to be my number 1.
Yes, Captain Rayner.
Kirk is going to be my number 1 captain of all time. Still,
really? See, I'm waffling between Picard and Sisko.
Sisko's my number 2. Sisko is definitely number 2. Strong number 2.
Yeah. I don't know. Kirk's not in my top. I think I'm going to put Picard and Sisko as my number 1.
The only reason I'd say Kirk's first because Kirk's going to get your ass out of the fire as long as you're not wearing a red shirt.
I suppose.
As long as you're on the ship, stay on the ship.
I suppose. If you're on the ship, stay.
You guys ever watch the show?
You don't know.
That's
Daddy before these guys before one of them kills Guy. Did you guys?
Maybe you're the
They
plucky
they
comic
look cute now, but they're gonna turn all scary.
The best Star Trek movie
Hey,
ever.
Denise Okuda says the best Star Trek movie, and I trust anything
And
Denise
of
Okuda
course,
says.
I've had this conversation with the Okudas. Absolutely. Yes, they agree. I got kicked off of Star Trek Facebook group because I said that.
Because you said
Because I said
Galaxy
Star
Quest.
Trek. Because I said.
How do we
Galaxy
rate
Quest was the best
Captain Tim? Hell's his name? Tim,
I don't know where you're going.
the Galaxy Quest captain.
Oh.
The
Why
hell's his
can't I
name?
well, oh God, you see, you totally
I'll
fried
Google
my
it.
brain. Tim Allen is the actor.
Tim Allen. Yeah, that's who I.
Yes.
And the character's name was Jason
Nesmith. Yes. Yeah. So,
Yeah, Jason
and then
Nesmith.
there's of course.
How do we rate
Sigourney.
Jason Nesmith? I'll pull up my. And does he throw down?
Oh, he was
I don't think
terrible.
so.
He was terrible.
He was terrible. Diplomatically, not so great. Out exploring, he did go explore. Would I serve under him? No.
No, nobody.
No.
I have one job. It's stupid.
I'm gonna do it. I might serve under Sigourney or possibly Alan
Rickman.
Alan Reitman. Yeah.
By Gratfars Hammer.
May he rest in peace.
What a savings.
I would serve under Snape, but not Tim Allen.
Ed Mercer. Oh, Stewart's asking. That's
Oh,
the,
Ed Mercer. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Throw
Mercer's
down.
an
No,
idiot. He's an idiot. He's
complete
an idiot.
In a fight, no, he does not throw down. Diplomatically, he tries. Out exploring, he is doing his job. Would I serve under him? No, I would serve under Adrian Palicki there, whatever her name is. I'd serve under Bortus before I'd serve under smoking a cigarette going, I feel like I've been staying
That was
for
the
1,000
funniest.
years.
That was still the funniest episode ever of the Orville was that cigarette episode.
That was
I think that was the one I think I laughed out loud the most.
Genius. The Orville grew me. I loved the Orville, and it's
good. It's solid. I don't love it, but it's solid. It's good. I mean, I'll watch it. You know what I'm saying? But
Quincy Taggart. Yes, Jason Nesmith was Tim Allen played Jason Nesmith, the actor who played Quincy Taggart. That's right. Thank you, Stuart. Yes.
On the Protector.
Yeah, no, but back to the Orville. What were you saying about?
I was just saying I like the show, but I don't love the show. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just because it feels like Trek. It feels like TNG warmed over. I think I would have liked it more if it just stuck with being funny.
Yeah, maybe.
Stop trying to be, because I think at some point
it accidentally turned into real sci-fi.
Yeah, it's like in the second season, all of a sudden, the humor kind of went to the side a bit.
Yeah, by the time we were fighting with the Kalons, it was like serious stuff.
Yeah, it got more serious. So Bruce is asking about Sulu. Well, we never really
know enough about his captain.
We didn't really saw Captain Sulu very much, except for Fly Apart then. Except for the last movie.
Target that explosion and fire.
Yeah.
That's all we really saw of Captain Sulu.
If you go any faster, she'll fly apart. Fly apart then. So, but Sulu didn't really like Kirk much anyway, so. Anyway, it's past the hour. I think we've covered it, guys. What does Bruce and Phil got going on?
Roy, I don't know. He hasn't posted yet. Phil just as Friday Night Freeform on Friday, but next week, next May the 2nd, Rizzo and I will be on WUSB Stony Brook with Captain Phil to talk about Trek Condoroga and all the exciting things we have going on there. So tune in to hear us blather on another radio station.
Okay. I don't know what we're doing next week. I guess. Are we still in May? I mean, in April?
No, we're in May. By next week, we're in May. We should move on to a new topic. We've been doing Star Trek for a whole month here.
New topic. No more Star Trek.
Oh, it'll be May. Let's do Star Wars.
Yeah, we got to do Star Wars stuff, right?
Star Wars.
It's May is Star Wars month, right? So, yeah. Yeah,
we'll do everything we just did for Star Trek. We'll do for Star Wars.
If anybody is in the Connecticut area this weekend, they are at the New England Air Museum. It is Space Expo this Saturday, and I'll actually be there with the New England and Connecticut garrisons of the 501st
Exciting.
in my X-Wing gear. So come
Very
see us.
cool.
Come say hello. So anyway, yeah, we'll figure it out as we'll do something Star Wars ish. So I'm sure we got plenty of material to get through the whole month of May, or at least most of it
Absolutely.
anyway. So all right,
We
on
will have
that
one
note,
week off, the week of Ticonderoga, so
yeah, we'll probably take because we're definitely off because I'll be in
because
Thai.
you'll be
that
in Thai
Wednesday.
already. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in Thai already. So, all right, guys. Good night. Live long and prosper, and may the force be with you always.